Denver Sports presents the Mile High Hockey Podcast with Mike Evans, presented by Fort Comfort Gutters. Now here's your host with the latest on the Burgundy and Blue, Mike Evans.
Hi, everybody, and welcome into the Mile High Hockey Podcast. I'm Mike Evans, and that handsome man looking at you is Adrian Dater. Been covering the Avalanche forever, since they came to Denver, and you can check him out on Substack, Dater on Avalanche. I love it. AD, how you doing?
Doing well, Mike. It's good to see you. I love this little layout here. We got actually see your face now when we do these things instead of over the phone. So, welcome. Hello all out there in radio land, podcast land, Avalanche land.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. Let's start with these last two games. The Avalanche, after a franchise record in Denver setting 6-0 start, lose their last two and get shut out in the process 8-0.
Yeah.
No big deal, or do you see any red flags coming out of that?
Nah, no big deal. Twin 4-0 losses against teams that were under 500. No, not great, but 6-0 start. I thought they'd lose at least one of those games, last two, and they lost both. Well, I was surprised at how just bad they were yesterday in Buffalo. You would have thought that the typical Avalanche response to a game like Pittsburgh is to come out and take it out on their next opponent. For about 3 or 4 minutes, they were doing that. And then all of a sudden, just a couple bad bounces and a not great goal allowed by Georgiev. And after that, it just sort of seemed like the Avalanche just kind of wilted. There was a injury scare about halfway through the game with Cale Makar, and I think everybody was sort of, knocked off their feet a little bit by that, fans included. And boy, it just ended up as a, great day for a couple ex-Avs, Eric Johnson and Tyson Jost, who gets a goal. The Avalanche curse of the ex-Avs always continues. It's like bet on the ex-Avs player to score a goal when they play one of their first games against the Avs when they come back. It's amazing the record that's happened. But no big deal. This team is too good. They'll be back. They're gonna win. If they win 6 out of every 8 games this year, they're gonna be top team in the West, I bet.
Well, let's talk about the hit on Cale Makar. Kyle Okposo with the hit from behind that had Avalanche fans, Avalanche media just absolutely going ballistic. Dirty hit. Should not be allowed in the game. Should be an immediate suspension. What was your take on the play?
I thought it could have been a boarding penalty. But I don't think it was, as big as a lot of Avs media made it out to be. Some of them, it seemed like, it was like, the JFK assassination or something. We got to ban this forever. It can't happen. Well, we got news for the people who think that you can legislate stuff out of a game like that when guys are going 20 to 30 miles an hour, big men on skates, and things happen in a fraction of a second like that. Guess what? There are going to be things like that happen. They're unfortunate. Guys get hurt. They're going to go slamming into the boards at times. And that's just life. Now, the reaction every time is always, it happened to our guy. So, boy, we got to get this out of the game. This is no good for the game. You want to sell the product. Well, we can't have this to the star players, especially when it happens to their guy, and your guy does it. It's, I didn't see it. And besides, our guy isn't that kind of player. He's not that kind of player. He doesn't do that kind of stuff. It's just unfortunate. Let's move on. So
it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. We came off the whole Broncos, Kareem Jackson debate about, oh man, they're making football soft. They ought to put flags on their hips, and man, they're just taking the intensity and the ferocity out of football. And then on a hit like this, it's like, oh man, you got to throw the book at this guy. It's too rough. It's too physical. It's too dangerous. So yeah, it is kind of funny, but that's human nature, human sports nature, that when it happens to your guy, you tend to react a little bit differently, either with the call for the utmost punishment versus, hey, look, come on, this is hardcore, this is hockey, it's supposed to be physical, it's football, it's supposed to be physical. What are we doing? Why are we wussifying the sport? I think it's just natural. But to your point, I want to push back a little bit on it. You talk about how can you legislate tough play like that, physical play when guys are going 20, 30 miles per hour in the heat of the moment. But that's the same argument, AD, that we've had with football. And that's what football has said. Hey, with the benefit of being able to go back and look at the play, we can suspend a guy like Kareem Jackson. So should hockey try to protect their players, their marquee players more, especially with the benefit of being able to go back and look at the play and send a very clear message that, no, we're not going to let our marquee players get banged around like this?
You can try, Mike, but I just think hockey is a different ball of wax sometimes than football, where you have time to set after every play, and plays happen just 5-10 seconds at most. Hockey is constant motion all the time, and let's face it, it's a little more easier to probably hurt yourself or something bad to happen when you're literally going 25, 30 miles an hour on skates that are, grooving through ice. And I don't know, it's just harder for me to envision legislating things out of the game of hockey a little, not as easily as football, where you can say, well, yeah, you cannot hit the quarterback after he throws the ball, period. Anything up to his head is, can't be done. Now, I think hockey's done some of that with head shots. I think the NHL has done a pretty good job legislating head shots out of the game. You don't see them as much as the old days where Rob Blake or Scott Stevens would come through the middle and just, tear a guy's head off with a blindside hit. Those are now suspensions, whereas it used to be, hey, you got to keep your head up. And now it's, no more headshots. Now, this thing happened yesterday. Happens a lot in hockey. Guys going to retrieve the puck. It was a live puck. There was not going to be ruled icing, so Makar knew that he wouldn't be able to just stop once the puck went to the red line, the goal line. He had to keep playing it. A lot of people in hockey say that, guys, when you're going back to play the puck and it's live like that, you can't slow up as much. Can't, let your opponent, come on top of you so fast without expecting you're going to get run into the boards a little bit. You got to keep your head up. Now, Okposo, the Sabres guy, did give him a little push, and that was enough to make him lose his edge and go into the boards. And I thought that was, I thought it was going to be a season-ending knee injury at first, the way that leg was bent. Lo and behold, it comes back. Rare instance of Avalanche getting good fortune after a big, serious hit like that, especially to a star player. So it ended up well. Now, you can make an argument to suspend Okposo. I wouldn't be at all shocked or not okay with it.
So is the idea, and I saw Devontae's talking about this, is that you're taught you can get your hips into the guy like he did into Makar, but you can't do it with that much space,
right?
Basically from the goal line to the board. So that if it was one of those things that he just kind of rode him into the boards, right by the boards, he could have done that. But it's the fact that there was still enough open ice to send him sprawling into the boards. So now you got to find that fine line between I can't hit him here. I can do him. I can sort of hit him up against the boards, but I can't do so in a way that I get called for, for boarding.
That's right. And the boarding rules specify that, it's got to be further away from the boards to give a boarding call. If you get hit hard up against the boards from a close distance, and they want to penalize that's going to be called charging or roughing maybe. But the interesting thing is the only guy who really was not outraged about everything was Cale Makar. He sort of blamed himself. He said, I can't do that. Maybe I was my worst enemy here. I slowed up. I had no effort on that puck. So he sounded like the Buffalo announcers that described that play, saying, hey, he was a little too nonchalant. And, the hockey way is you've got to, can't do that or else you may end up in the boards. It was outrage from the Denver media, and Jared Bednar said he didn't like it, and that's fair. I think it was borderline, definitely. I don't think he'll be suspended because, and this is what I don't like about hockey, is the way they decide these things is he didn't get majorly hurt,
Right.
and therefore let it go. It seems like that always, especially in the case with the Avalanche, they don't get a lot of good rulings from the NHL Department of Player Safety, and I will admit that they get screwed at times from them. I don't know why, but they do. So I don't expect a suspension, and just because he didn't get hurt, though, doesn't mitigate the fact that it could have been a very dangerous thing, and maybe you got to send a message to Outpost.
Well, all right, I want to get to that point about sending a message. Devontae's after the game said he didn't like the way that the team responded after that. And all you saw was Nathan MacKinnon respond. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Nathan MacKinnon's not the guy that's supposed to be out there handling on ice vindication or vigilante justice or anything like that. Were you disappointed with the lack of pushback and I guess retaliation by the Avalanche as that game went on?
Normally you see a guy just drop the gloves right away. I think this didn't happen in this case, though, because Bakar was down and everybody was sort of hush there in the play. Whistle blew right away, and everybody was more concerned about him than going after Okposo. That said, definitely I was surprised that there was no immediate, especially to Okposo himself on his next shift. It didn't seem like they did anything to him. Yes, I was surprised. You and I both know I'm an old school hockey guy. I'm Old Testament when it comes to hockey. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Some guys in New Testament. Let's be nicer out there.
Yeah, but Taze indicated he wasn't happy about it.
I know. I was surprised. And I guarantee you that's going to be addressed in the locker room. And some guys, I bet, who are going to be held accountable for that. Why didn't Josh Manson go right after a guy? He was kind of rough at times after that, but he didn't drop the gloves. He didn't hit anybody with that good, here's payback hit, to one of your top guys. Curtis McDermott, their enforcer, hasn't played since opening night. So here we go with that argument. Well, what if McDermott were in? Maybe that wouldn't have even happened. The guys are so scared to do. And I'll tell you what, I'm a big Curtis McDermott fan. I like him, and I think he keeps a lot of peace out there. A lot of deterrent factor when he's on the ice, I believe. And they Avs win a lot of games with him in the ice, too. So why Jared Bednar has not played him at all since opening night, a little surprising to me there. But again, this is something food for thought for Jared to move forward. Guys, teams are going to try and hit the Avalanche's top players and hurt them maybe. And you have to do something about it in hockey. You don't just take it. So
yeah, I get where things are going with the fight game, and you and I are both, we miss it, but I do think that there is a place for it. I don't like the manufactured, I skate up to you and hey, AD, the guys are a little flat, boys are a little flat today. I got to try to get them going. Let's go. Yeah, that kind of stuff I don't care about. But the stuff that comes up organically throughout the game, I do think that there is a place for fighting and for retaliation and for policing your own selves out there. And I thought that this would be an example of that. And it's something that I do think the Avalanche need to address, because to your point, with the stars they have, teams are going to be out there going, hey, we can't just skate with these guys. And we're going to have to try to find a way to somehow even up the odds.
Mm-hmm. And ever since they got McDermott, I don't think you've seen as many headhunting hits on the Avs. They've had two good years with him, including one where they won a Stanley Cup. And, the injuries that all happened last year were a lot of bad luck injuries. I don't think Curtis McDermott would have had much influence on some of those things. But, no, I don't like the stage fighting either. I never did. I hate it when, a team's down 3-0 and all of a sudden, we're going to get a fight. That'll change our talent level all of a sudden when we're down 3-0 or 4-0. Or a team's got to pay a price for being up 6-0 and being too good on us. We have to go out there and send a message. The message is you stink. Yeah. And this fight did no good. Some fights can really rev up a team, especially when it's a guy who doesn't fight a lot, who sticks up for himself or another teammate. That can really rally a team well. So, the Avalanche played like, I won't say lambs, but they were not very high on the payback meter yesterday, which was surprising.
Well, we'll file that away, and we'll see how they come out and respond when inevitably another one of their players gets run at, one of their star players. We'll see how they react to it, if that message was delivered, if that conversation was had in the room. But I think the biggest takeaway is 6-2. Not great to see them lose the last two games, but hey, it's a long season. And to your point, I think you're right on. If you tell me they're going to win 6 out of every 8 games this year, I think they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine.
And I think there'll be other times where they reel off another 8-game streak or something, or 10. And, I think they're the top team in the West for sure. And this was just a couple games out east that went sideways, but they're back home Wednesday night against St. Louis Blues. I expect a rowdy ball arena, and I think Avs will get back on track.
Hey, why don't you give yourself a plug, what you're doing this year with the Avs and with the hockey coverage? Give yourself a plug.
Sure. I mean, I run my own site still called Dater on Avalanche. It's on Substack. Substack's a writer platform where you're your own boss, and people who want to subscribe can do so. And I've got a good number of subscribers, and I'm not traveling with the team like I used to. It's chief factors there as to why not, but still watching every game, and lots of comments, lots of my phone still works, and I still call a lot of good sources. And so today's day and age, I don't know if you always need to be in the locker room all the time and that kind of thing to do a good job. And so that's what I'm doing. Definitely on the back nine of my Avalanche career, covering stuff, and that's fine. Going to be the big 6-0 in about a year and a half. So
how many years you been on? You've been covering the Avs since what, 96? 95?
Day one, before day one.
Yeah.
When they were, I was covering when they were still in Quebec, writing the day-to-day story of whether they're going to move to Denver or not, So, it's been how many years? 28 years now.
Wow. Well, hey, that kind of longevity makes you a trusted voice, a trusted source when it comes to all things Avalanche. And as always, we appreciate the time. Good to see you face to face doing this, and let's do it again here very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It was fun to do it. Let's do it again.
Adrian Dater, everybody. That'll do it for this edition of the Mile High Hockey Podcast, and we'll see you again later in the week.